Hello, hello. Hey, sweet people. Welcome to another episode of Inglês no Rádio. As you can probably tell, coming to you live from the outdoors.
Outside!
Alexia is here. Buddy's here looking at me like, what is that recording machine? Anyways, we're recording this in the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. If you've been listening to this show at all, you probably know that we are big fans. We are proponents of mental health and bringing more awareness to mental health. Hopefully lowering the stigma associated with mental health issues. Alexia and I both personally have our own battles with our own things, like most people do. And we thought it would be a good idea to talk about them while we're outside walking with Buddy, because talking about some pretty dark stuff, so it's always better if we're doing it in nature. So Alexia, the plan today, that I don't know if is going to work because our dog is crazy, is you can ask me a couple of questions about anxiety, because that is what I have the most experience with, I would say. And I think anxiety is commonly misunderstood. Like, most people think, oh, anxiety is just stress, or anxiety is a very, very complicated thing, and it's very difficult to explain. So I'm going to let Alexia ask a couple of questions, and I'm going to try to give my personal answers. Here we go.
I think that what people are thinking about anxiety is that how can you differ between like normal anxiety and then the actual mental health issue anxiety, because sometimes I'm anxious because I'm worried about a work assignment, and this is normal anxiety. But what is the one that we had to worry about?
Yes. Okay. So I believe your question is a really good question. So you're asking, how can you distinguish between just normal level of anxiety and anxiety that actually is something that you need to address and is problematic? Is that correct, Alexia?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's important to first explain that anxiety, some level of anxiety, is a good thing. It's evolutionary. We are designed to be anxious. I imagine our great ancestors, they became anxious because a tiger was chasing them or something. So they needed to have that alert system to really wake up their body and say, hey, focus, there is danger. So anxiety is not fundamentally a bad thing. And even like decent levels of anxiety can be relatively positive. Like, anxiety can be very motivating. It can cause you to take action. But I think in general, when anxiety becomes a bad thing, or at least when it kind of falls into the issue of a mental health thing, is when anxiety really starts to interfere with your normal life. Obviously, this looks very different for different people. For me personally, I probably have had some level of anxiety my entire life, but I really started noticing it and addressing it when I was in graduate school. So I was, 23, 24 years old, like 7 or 8 years ago. And it started just with insomnia. Like, I couldn't really get to sleep. Alexia, tenho cachorro vindo. So in my case, personally, insomnia was kind of the first sign of anxiety. I was just getting so stressed before sleeping that I could not sleep. And I was studying in a relatively demanding graduate program and unhappy with a lot of things in my life. So it started with insomnia, and then that started kind of entering other parts of my life. And then I started getting panic attacks. And if you've had a panic attack, you know what it is. If you haven't, God bless you. I started getting panic attacks when I was driving. So I would drive and literally have to stop the car because I thought I was going to just pass out or have a seizure and die or something. And that was kind of the beginning where it was very obvious that, whoa, if this keeps happening, I cannot live my normal life. Like, I can't drive and I can't study or give presentations or teach. Does that answer your question, Alexia?
Yes, pretty much. Can anxiety and panic attacks walk alone? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it a rule that if you are anxious, you're going to have panic attacks, or vice versa?
Can they walk alone? So, I believe you're asking, are panic attacks and anxiety, do they normally come together? Are they related? Yes. Just, obviously, I'm not a doctor. I'm a podcaster with mental health issues, so do not take any of my advice seriously. But I think most of the time, panic attacks and anxiety are very closely related. When you have a panic attack, most of the time it's caused by high levels of anxiety. And after you have a panic attack, naturally that makes you more anxious all of the time. So at least in the United States, we have the diagnosis of general anxiety disorder, which is just like you have high levels of anxiety, makes it difficult for you to live your normal life. But we also have what I believe is called generalized panic disorder. And that means, I think you've had like more than 6 panic attacks in your life or something like that. Anyways, I have both of those. And I think most people that have one have the other also. Does that answer your question, Alexia? Okay, great. So today's just a little bit about anxiety, just my personal story with it. I imagine, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people are starting to realize that they also have anxiety. So we'll give a lot of resources in the next episode. I'll talk about some things that have helped me. And one of the biggest things is just knowing that you're not alone.
Yeah, and one of the most important things that this is Foster's and Alexia's experience. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen to you like this, or that it's happening to you like this. It's just our experience, and we are doing this to make ourselves really open to you guys, so you guys can have all the tools and resources to search for help.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, not doctors, podcasters. We don't know what we're doing, but it is mental health.
You know what we are doing.
It's Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're trying to bring awareness and make mental health more normalized. Because, I don't know, if I break my arm, that would not be like a scary thing to talk about on a podcast. But if I have panic attacks, for some reason, that's very stigmatized. We're trying to help that. Anyways, we will talk to you guys soon. Beijos, as always, keep up the good fight.
And lose well. Bye!